Content warning. Today's episode of Pop Culture covers topics that may be disturbing for some viewers or listeners. Viewer and listener discretion is advised.
Hello, my lovely hummingbirds, and welcome back to another episode of Makeup and Motivation here on Pop Culture with your lovely host, Monroe. How's it going, everyone? For today's episode, we are going to be discussing how to navigate life when things don't go exactly as planned. And for today's makeup inspiration, we are going to be doing none other than the queen of reframing every single failed plan, Yzma from The Emperor's New Groove. But before we get into all of that, plus everything that's been going on in the world, I would really appreciate it if you would all join me in a moment of silence for all the lives that we have lost in the past week or so in the world of movies, media, music, entertainment, and popular culture as a whole. I would really, really greatly appreciate it. Join me now in this moment of silence. Thank you all for joining me in that moment of silence. I greatly appreciate it. And without further ado, the makeup look.
To kick off today's makeup look, we're going to start off with our Glam Light Eyeshadow Primer. It is the white one this time because I have learned my lesson, and I'm going to have to figure out what to do with the other one, with the black one, because it deepens the shades. Color theory, all crazy. But you are going to do it on your eyelid and do an overall eyelid application, even extending it a bit off to the side. Now for this part right here, we did start off with our Lime Crime Venus Immortalis palette with two shades, Marble and Cameo. It's Cameo. I originally had only gone in with Marble, but I was like, wow, you can't see it. Obviously, it's a white shade. White on a white primer, it just looks more white. So I went ahead and mixed both of them, just because Yzma does have this kind of gray complexion to her, so I did want to slightly incorporate it into the look a bit. For this part, we went in with the Dragon Beauty Fantasy Palette Volume 1, and we went in with the shade of Paradise Popstar. And I thought it was gonna show more on camera, and this is where like the black eyeshadow primer and the white eyeshadow primer differ, because this one you can't really see the shimmery shades as much as far as pigmentation goes. And I was like, okay, not purple enough. So we went in with the shade Harajuku from the same palette and just covered our entire eyelid, a little into the crease area. My bad, I did it all the way up into the brow bone area. Tee. After that, we went in with our Venus 3 Lime Crime palette in the shade Paradise. I forget how much of like a pinkish purple this is. It's more leaning towards magenta when it's on a very white base. If it's not, it does lean more into like similar shade as the Harajuku one. It's very pretty though. I love it. It is shimmery. But yeah, that goes into the upper brow bone area, kind of going a little bit towards the under the eyebrow on the highlight area. After that, we went in also from the Lime Crime 3 palette, and this one I was like, okay, the cameo and the marble aren't showing as much as I thought they would, so we went in with a little bit of Rapture is the name of the shade, and just to kind of buffer out between both like the Paradise and the cameo, because it looked like such a stark contrast. And then I was like, nope, too pink, so we went back in with cameo. This look was testing me. Up next, we went in from the Venus Immortalis palette in the black shade of the palette, and it is Unseen. Just like Yzma is feeling by Cusco, like her efforts are very unseen. Tee. I mean, after all, she practically raised him. If you haven't seen my TikTok yet, you should. It's so cute. The sound did not correlate well on TikTok, but for the IG one, it's up there. It'll correlate. Anywho, I went in with the Juvia's Place with the gorgeous purple that is in the Zulu palette and just went over just to bring a bit more cohesiveness to the look. And then one final go at marble from the Lime Crime Immortalis palette just to really accentuate that line. And I'm like, we're gonna make this look work one way or another. And now for the face, we are going with our Drunk Elephant Ombre Tint 30 SPF. Honestly, I am so happy it has a bit of tint to it. This was the only base that I used. It's a mineral cream, and I was impressed. I will give it to Drunk Elephant for this one. It was very nice. Muted a lot of the redness on my face too. Been having a lot of redness. My eczema is dying to make a comeback this fall, and I'm like, absolutely not. We're not doing it. And I really wanted to brighten some areas of my face, so we're using our Dior Backstage Concealer in the shade 1N and applying to the under eye area. Look at me, trying to be all cutesy, like I'm not just gonna go ahead and do that. Chaos. And applying it not only to my under eye, but also the high points of my face. And yes, I am using the exact same brush I used to apply my foundation, or tint in this case, mineral cream. Because I was like, you know what, I'm tired, I gotta get to work. I don't have the time. So we're just going in there and blending out with the same brush. Up next, we are baking, and I'm trying to remember what we used to bake. I can't remember if it was Huda Beauty or if it was Benefit's Professional setting powder. It was one of the two, but I can't remember for the life of me. It was Huda. It was Huda because I don't know why the image of the brush just brought like the distinct smell of that powder to my brain. Yep. Oh, so pretty. Look at her going full matte now. And now that we applied the setting powder, yes, I am applying my powder foundation afterwards. We're using the Rare Beauty powder foundation in the shade Sand just to bring a bit more of my complexion out and even my face to my neck. If the men find out we can shapeshift, they're going to tell the church. We are now contouring with our NYX, the Highlight and Contour Pro palette in the shade Hollow. We are using the deepest shade in the palette, and I'm really just trying to make it look as socially acceptable to walk into work looking as Yzma as possible. But she does have those very, like, sharp lines to her face, so I was trying to mimic that with the makeup. Nose? What nose? No. Up next, we use the Zulu palette by Juvia's Place, that gorgeous purple color that's in there, and that's our blush for the day. Although Yzma is very, like, you know, gray, pasty, and doesn't really have blush on her, but cohesiveness for my eyes for this look, it's inspired, y'all. It's an inspired look. And now, to add a little sparkle to our devious plans of replacing Cusco. I can't do Eartha Kitt's voice to say, but I can't do it. I can't. I love that woman. Oh my god. I love the voice acting in this movie. So good. But not me getting completely distracted. So for the highlight, and I do end up showing it, I used the Morphe Coca-Cola collaboration, and I think it's called Bubbly Babe for the highlight, which I'm like, ugh, so cute, so perfect, considering pop culture is the one with the bubblegum pop, you know. I need to start doing that again on every episode, but y'all, I was getting tired, and I need to take my chewing gum with me to my office, and it's the giant tub, and it hasn't happened. Anyway, little discourse aside. See, I do show it. Yay. Bubbly babe. Up next, it's time for brows, because brows. Ooh, so for this, so I don't always do brow pencils or pomades or gels or any of, you know, the actual stuff you should be using for your brows so they look perfectly snatched. But I fill in with, what fucking powder is that? It's the Lime Crime Venus. Ooh, which Venus? Hold on. I have like all the Venuses for Lime Crime, in case you haven't noticed. It is the Prelude. Ooh, it's the Prelude palette. The Prelude Exposed, and it is the dark brown shade in the palette. It is the shade Immortal. That's why I was thinking Immortalis, and I was like, no, it's not that one. But it's in the shade Immortal. It's that very deep brown. I feel like it's a solid brown. I love it. But this is the makeup look. I hope you guys enjoyed it. I used the KKW Beauty, that gorgeous hot pink that's in there. Pull the lever, Kronk. Oh my god, I love it. Anyways, enjoy the rest of the episode. Bye. So, what do we think about the makeup look? I will admit, though, it's been a whole day since I originally created the makeup look. I fell asleep in this makeup. I don't recommend falling asleep in makeup. Don't do it. It's so bad for your skin. Don't do it. But yeah. So, hi, day old makeup here. Anywho. For today's episode, we are obviously inspired by Yzma from The Emperor's New Groove. And today's topic of conversation is navigating through life when things don't go according to plan. Our makeup queen inspiration today, Yzma, who is voiced by none other than the late, great Eartha Kitt. Which I was so geeked when I found out. I was like, wow, no wonder I love her. In the film, if you guys haven't seen it, she gets everything wrong and nothing goes according to plan, and that's today's topic of conversation, pushing on regardless of it. Also, you do look at my little circle earrings, and it's perfect. I'm so happy. But before we get into all of that, my lovely hummingbirds, we are going to get into everything currently happening in the world of news, movies, media, music, entertainment, and popular culture as a whole. It is officially a year. Well, it was back on October 7th. since everything started with the ongoing conflict, bombings, etc. between the current Zionist Israeli government and Hamas. And subsequently, the deaths, starvation, displacement, bombings, disease, and pain endured by many innocent Palestinians as well as Israeli or Jewish. That being said, tensions have been high for a very long time, and while it might not be at the forefront of your viewing at all times now, my lovely hummingbirds, I want you to still be aware and informed. It's still ongoing. The conflict is still happening. Lives are still being lost. Yes, people are still protesting. People are pushing for some form of alleviation to it all. And a lot of people have been suffering burnout for a really long time because of trying to consume everything at once as far as information for everything going on and learning new things and then dealing with things that are happening back at home for everyone that is not in the zone of conflict. If you are struggling, my lovely hummingbirds, with this, with continuing protesting and making your voice heard, it's okay to take pauses, it's okay to take breaks. There was this thing that was said about all those witnessing what is happening to the Palestinian people and viewing the deaths and the bombings and the bodies and all of it, and how people are experiencing a form of PTSD. Please take care of yourselves. And if you're like, I haven't heard anything, Monroe, like what? Well, considering the world was taken over by storm because of the Diddy scandal and the current elections here in the US, I'm not surprised. There's so much going on all the time, and I said it here when everything first started a year ago. A lot is happening around the world right now. And it's going to take a lot of energy and willpower to remain focused across various things. Now, if you aren't following anyone Palestinian, any of the reporters, a few of the people to follow that have posted about all of this are Plashia Alakad, Bisan Auda, Ahmed Kota, Ahmed Eldin, and Mutas Azeza. And recently, Amal Alalul posted on TikTok, and honestly, y'all, that shit, I cried. I'm very, very sensitive when it comes to lives lost and innocent lives lost and genocide and war and all of that. Like, I really am. Especially seeing all the babies, all the families suffering, families that have suffered on both sides, right? It sucks. And all eyes are very heavily on this election because, it's been brought up before how the left is now divided because of Kamala and the Biden administration and her role that she played in everything when it comes to what is occurring over in Gaza. And it really is heartbreaking. So, influencer on TikTok, she's a creator. I believe she's an advocate. I think she's here from Chicago. I saw the tag on one of the videos, but she's been getting a lot of pushback and a lot of flack because of the way that she conveyed a message about, not forgetting about what's going on to the Palestinian people. And she said, I don't care how oppressed you are, I don't care how this and this and that. And a lot of people have accused her of, virtue signaling and just another white woman inserting herself into conflicts that do not involve her and all this shit, right? And this other creator basically said, like, hey, you know, like, as an activist, you do get burnt out. You do get so enraged and impassioned about something that you can say the wrong thing, and you, even if your intentions are well-meaning, and people, from what I saw, were grateful for the different, like, perspective that was added to what was said, but all I'm gonna say on that is it is, I can see the various perspectives. I can see how you can get so, like, just laser focused on something that you don't care about anything else in that moment. I do see that there is a way to say things, though, properly, and I also see the perspective of it's difficult to try and help and save others, especially if there's also such a heavy focus on trying to save ourselves. I would say this election season is difficult to make a decision, but the more that we progress and move forward towards November 8th, it's looking very... I can't tell you who to vote for, my lovely hummingbirds. Oh, I can't, but please vote. Because it's getting insane out there. If you have not been paying attention to the bills that have been put into motion, to the laws that have been put into motion, I really need you to pay attention, because so much shit is changing. Recently, a podcaster by the name of Dean Withers, who is known for, like, his political takes and really offering a little bit of, like, logic and perspective when it comes to politics, he was basically, like, allotted by people. They were like, you know, you handled it so well. He went on a podcast. I can't remember the name of it or the person, but the girl that he posed a question. He was like, so you are under the belief that every state should basically have their own law, so you agree with the Confederacy? And she's like, no, that's not what I'm saying. I'm saying, though, that if, like, every single state wants something, then they should get it. And he posed the question, so say everyone in the state, I think it was Alabama, wanted slavery back, you'd be okay with it? And she's like, well, of course I'm not a psychopath, but, you know, if everybody in one state wants something, then fine, let them have it. And I'm just like, right, so you're agreeing with what he's saying. You're okay with it. And she, like, kept bringing up the whole, like, oh, I was born and raised in LA. I had, like, born and raised in LA and all this stuff. And everyone was like, And I was looking at it and I was like, sorry, I just got a random message. Anywho. What the fuck was I saying? So, her saying that to me gave the same energy of, like, okay, when everything was happening around the death of George Floyd, his murder, essentially, and the protests and the whole Black Lives Matter movement, and how everything just bubbled over during COVID. The way that she was phrasing it and kept repeating it, like it was an emphasis on something, was giving very, like, I can say it because I have black friends type of energy. And a lot of people said made that, like, correlation, because we are born in proximity to diversity, or because we are born in proximity to a struggle, does not readily eliminate existing biases or learned biases, right? Like, as humans, we have empathy and sympathy towards situations, right? But that does not mean we always will directly understand, like, the immediate pain and suffering and or otherwise that an individual goes through. Like, granted, there are very real impacts of growing up in diverse neighborhoods, of growing up in impoverished areas, of growing up in the hood, and growing up in difficult neighborhoods, in places that lack resources or have an abundance and overflow of resources, right? Like, there are very, very real direct impacts that can affect your life. But it kept giving, to me, I was like watching the clips and it kept giving the energy of like, I'm not racist because I grew up around diversity type of thing. I don't know. It just, like, his take on it, like, he was so well spoken, Dean was so well spoken, and I was like, you know, I hear you. I feel like majority of the general collective hears you. These people are just not, they're not listening. I will say this, her mindset, though, I feel like is shared by a lot of people in this country. I feel like when you leave, like, the radius of, like, metropolitan areas, a lot of people share her mindset. And to me, personally, that is fucking terrifying. Like, there are times, right, where I'm like, you know what, I would just love to, like, run away and live in a quiet place. And then I'm like, but I am also first generation Mexicana with reproductive health issues. And a fat ass mouth and a lot of opinions. And I'm like, in the city we stay. I can't. Alright. On that note, so is your lawyer Lauren? No, is Lauren your lawyer? She is a content creator who is a lawyer in the state of Texas, I believe. And the reason why I'm bringing up all these politics, first off, I told y'all, my lovely hummingbirds, we were going to get a bit more political the closer that we get to election day. I keep trying to say election season. We are in election season. The closer we get to election day, because we're 2 weeks out at this fucking point, and I'm just like, when did this year just flew by so fucking fast, right? So she brought up something that she saw, and as a lawyer, and I was like, shut the fuck up, this cannot be real, but also I completely believe you, and also I'm just like, oh my god, it's happening. We are going into fucking, oh my god, what's that one book, Handmaid's Tale? I am traumatized. I'm like, bruh, I can't reproduce, I won't make it far. Okay. My little book talk spiral out of the way for a moment. Book talk girly spiral, right? What she mentioned was a law that is currently, like, currently in place in Texas, where, say, two parties are gonna get a divorce, right? And, like, this was the scenario she gave. Two parties were getting a divorce. The wife brought forward receipts. And if you're like, Monroe, what do you mean receipts? I mean, like, screenshots of messages between her spouse and the other party, basically proving that he had committed adultery and infidelity, and she had grounds for divorce. And the dude's lawyer basically was like, oh, hey, just so you know, I'm gonna stop the freaking lady right there, because she's basically incriminating herself, because it is a crime to bring in the receipts because that is now viable under the laws of invasion of privacy. So even if your spouse, and I hope you're hearing me, ladies, even if your spouse is like, yeah, that's cool, you can grab my phone, I don't care, take all the screenshots, doesn't matter, they can still use it against you in a court of law for invasion of privacy. And you can go to the slammer for doing that. I said it in a few episodes back when I spoke about one of the bills being passed about like genetics and cloning and reproductive health, about how it's been feeling for a while now like the general consensus is it's not a war against everyone. It's starting to very much feel like a war against female autonomy. I don't like it. And, you know, people in the comments were questioning. They're like, this applies to him too, right? He can't bring in receipts either, right? I didn't see any response. And I'm going to look into it more. But it's really crazy to me how, like, everyone always screams this whole idea of, oh, we need to go back to traditional times and better times and all this and that, and I'm like, okay, but better for whomst? Because women did not have rights until quite recently. One of those being their own access to funds and bank accounts and money and resources, and the clause where like you can divorce, and just so many factors. And as a woman, I am becoming a little more scared every day for the future of this fucking country. Please go out and vote, my lovely hummingbirds. Please do. Another thing that the creator posted is Lauren, your lawyer. She spoke about a recent lawsuit filed against P. Diddy and how it's graphic. So, like, if you don't have the energy or mental health to, like, sufficient human mental battery to watch it, I do not suggest you watch. She does go a little bit into detail about it, but basically it's a very, very graphic telling of a person that suffered a form of assault, not just by Diddy, but also by some of his party of people and associates and individuals, including this woman that she thought was her friend. And I mean, it gets like freaking Body Keeps the Score level of graphic. And if you guys don't know what that is, it is a novel that deals with trauma and experiencing trauma and how to like get over it. And the author gets very detailed about certain traumatic experiences. And, like, if you've read the book and the whole thing with the beer bottle, something very similar to that. And, like, I personally do not feel like repeating it today because I'm going to start crying. I was crying while I was watching her, like, explanation of the 62-page lawsuit against him. But, yeah, as I was saying, I was crying the whole time I was watching this video. I am going to link it. So feel free if you, like I said, have the bandwidth for that, my lovely hummingbirds. If not, it is completely understandable. But that said, also related to everything going on with P. Diddy, you know how, like, allegedly Beyonce and Jay-Z are involved with him and whatever have you, because so Jaguar Wright had recently done an interview with Piers Morgan. And Piers Morgan, as you all know, if you follow news and popular culture, he is like one of the main interviewers that really is very hard-hitting, non-apologetic, very just boom, boom, boom when it comes to things. And he apparently received a letter from the desk of Beyonce and her representatives, allegedly, where he was asked to give an apology to her, to Jay-Z, to Blue Ivy, to their family for having Jaguar Wright on his channel, for having done the interview, for anything that might have been said that caused any harm or hurt. Now, allegedly, he is not the only person. Besides himself, also allegedly, influencers, yes, I have to say it, sorry y'all, influencers across TikTok have been receiving cease and desist forms for their content, and I'm just like, what in the what? As I was saying, sorry, my parents are now, as I'm recording today's episode, and it's just, just a little here and there, but yeah, so allegedly that's been happening. Now there are rumors that it's not exactly their team sending stuff to influencers, and it might be like members of the Beehive. I don't actually know. Again, this is all rumors and speculation. But everyone did find it kind of crazy how Piers Morgan did go publicly and apologize for having her on there and everything that was said. And I'm just like, wow, that is some wild shit. There were rumors that allegedly Jaguar Wright is currently fearing for her life and things that might come to pass as like repercussions for everything she has said. I don't know. I feel like, again, with like everything that I mentioned last week's episode about Diddy and how the general populace is not really in his favor, I feel like if Jaguar Wright or anyone that has said anything regarding the Diddy case went missing, people will instantly be on that ass of whoever they speculate had something to do with it. Like, I really do. I feel like we haven't heard the end of this by any means. I feel like so much more is to come to light and just to happen with it overall. I hope an Epstein moment doesn't happen with Diddy and that we see the full scope of this, but I don't know. I do not know, my lovely hummingbirds. We shall see what happens. Now, in other random news, so y'all remember the Met Gala and how Doja Cat had said that the reason she had like the wet look was because her whole thing was a garden time, and she's like, oh my god, rushing late type of thing. This YouTuber, I can't remember the name, but he basically was like, oh, look at her, like she made herself into the statue of the garden, and I literally gasped. I was like, oh, wait, that makes so much fucking sense now. And he did like a side-by-side comparison of like the statues in a garden and then like the wet look of the dresses and all that, and I was like, oh my god, I get it now. That's so beautiful. Such a beautiful look. 10 out of 10. I was like, huh. Wait, that was not the explanation given. But still, just a little random tidbit of information there. In other fashion news, the Victoria's Secret fashion show just happened and everyone is confused. No, but in all seriousness, so the VS fashion show just happened. For those of you that don't know, the Victoria's Secret fashion show was like the fashion shows of fashion shows when it came to lingerie and loungewear, and I believe they were doing office wear for like a hot minute as well. But those wings are iconic. That like bombshell bra that is the fucking look is iconic. It has gone down in fashion history. However, this year, some people were left wanting more because they said, I heard a lot of like, granted, I heard a lot of compliments as well as a lot of people being disappointed with the show itself. They were like, it felt so much more luxe in previous years than it does currently. I'm gonna watch it and I will let y'all know, and we will judge the fuck out of this show, because if you've been following me this long, you've heard me say on multiple times, I will be the tiniest angel and I don't give a fuck. They are inclusive now, and I will be included with all of my 5'2" gorgeousness. Anyway. My random little I want to be a VS Angel so bad rant aside. Let us get into today's topic of conversation, which is navigating through life when things don't go according to plan. Pull the lever, Kronk. Anyway. I fucking love Yzma. She's that bitch. So, as I mentioned in the introduction, Yzma is a character from The Emperor's New Groove who is voiced by none other than the late great Eartha Kitt. And her whole, like, she's the villain in the movie. And I say it like this because really, like, it's Kuzco. So, she is the not vizier. Why am I thinking of Jafar? What am I channeling? She is the, basically she fucking Emperor's right hand. She's also the scientist for the realm. Right? She has all the potions and all that she does. She has her, not her minion, but Kronk, who is her assistant and helps her in all her shenanigans and all her plans that never go according to plan. So the whole thing for the movie is she tries to unalive Kuzco and ends up turning him into a fucking llama instead because Kronk couldn't remember which was the poison and which was the llama juice. Turned him into a llama. And she's like, okay, this is actually perfect. We're gonna just unalive the llama. It doesn't end up happening. At the end of the movie, she ends up turning it into a cat. And it's my favorite. She goes, I win. I love that freaking movie. But anyway, the whole thing is like Kuzco is supposed to find a wife, get married, have an heir to the throne. And she's like, oh my god, there is no heir to the throne. So naturally, if I unalive him, it'll be me. And then everything just goes haywire. Obviously, Kuzco ends up becoming friends with Pacha because he tries to, like, move him because he wants to build a theme park or whatever. Like, very selfish. He has this whole turnaround. Beautiful movie. Anyway, can you tell I love it? And I love Yzma's character because her persistence does not stop. Granted, what she wants to do isn't the greatest. And I think one of the funniest parts, and I used it in, like, the TikTok sound promoting today's episode, where he's like, I know, you practically raised him. She's like, huh, go figure. You think he'd be better? But they just basically see him as a very, like, immature child that doesn't know how to run his empire, is pretty much hated by everyone, feared by all of his citizens, all the people in his empire. Like, it really is a whole thing. And that's why Yzma, it's navigating life when things don't go according to plan. So, I've said it on here before, my lovely hummingbirds. If you want to hear God laugh, tell him your plans. In the journey of life, love, and self-healing, we all make a plan. We all have some set goals, an idea, generally in life, of like how we wish for things to go. It is rare when things always work out exactly as we have imagined it up in our minds, exactly as we had set forward for them to go. And that is when things tend to go a little haywire, when traumatic experiences can occur, when healing from those experiences occurs, when things go way left field and you are living in a bubble of chaos. And I heard in doom and then I heard joy at the same time, and I don't know. Already channeling. What am I channeling? But oh, I might be doing a spicy chaos read. Interesting. That's not the point here right now, though. Not for this week. When you're watching me, that's probably next week's reading. But the thing about life is, it is chaos. Yes, the balance exists in life between good and evil, but we do live in a world of gray. And with it comes many things, many unexpected moments, many unexpected experiences. I know you guys have heard it, especially like if you follow the world of mental health, like taking it one day at a time, one moment at a time when things are occurring. That is life. But today's topic is specifically for when you make a plan and it goes completely fucking haywire. For all those of you, my lovely hummingbirds, that are currently in that, I need you to understand there is a reason. And that gets a little spiritually, I know. And if that's not why you watch Makeup and Motivation, I'm sorry. But there is a reason. I wholeheartedly believe that. I believe that no matter what plan we have, there is always a greater one in motion that we don't always readily see. And when you are in the thick of it, in the thick of the chaos, in the thick of the tower moments of shit happening, one of the things that you have to remind yourself is to do a reframe. And it's crazy how many times you're going to have to reframe, right? Because challenges don't stop. Obstacles keep happening. The only thing that we can control is us. And how we choose to move forward and handle those situations. When things don't go according to plan, what you need to remember is you can always make a new one. A new plan. Following the facts of what is laid before you at this moment. And tweak and readjust to keep operating in that level of your highest good, your highest fruition, your most bestest self-care ever, because you should be taking care of yourselves throughout the journey of life, love, and self-healing and all that gorgeous, gorgeous shit we talk about here on Pop Culture, on Makeup and Motivation. When things don't go according to plan is because that is part of the plan. Reroutes and obstacles, it is my belief and, well, deep understanding now, because I used to be I would get very pissy when shit did not go according to my plan. I was like, oh, hell to the no. How the fuck? No. And then, I grew up. And I started to heal and learn and really flow. Life comes in waves. It is all about the ebbs and flows of life, my lovely hummingbirds, and traversing them. What you need to understand about failed plans is that rejection is divine protection. It always is. Whether you believe in the universe and God or not. If you've been watching around this long, you know we do. If you're new, hi, welcome. I'm actually crying because I'm partially channeling, and two, because I was thinking about the new Diddy case thing, and I cried watching that whole video. It was a rough one, but I'm definitely channeling. I heard, Monroe, you out here torturing yourself for these videos. I love y'all. I love to bring y'all all the information and little nuggets of wisdom that I learn along the way. And I also really just started craving chicken nuggets. This is going to be a very interesting reading. Anywho, with very different makeup. Because I'm taking this one off because I've had it on for too long and I need to wash my face. It's hard. Feeling like you're supposed to be somewhere else. Like you're supposed to be farther along, more successful, more abundant. I heard fitter, healthier than you are in this moment. But what you need to understand, my lovely hummingbirds, is that all you have is this moment. Right now. You and I, in between the screen. What you have is now. I recently saw some friends at one of my favorite places in the world. And one of them, he said something in conversation to someone. I was there, but I was more like presencing the conversation. And he said, the more, this is not verbatim, and if you're watching this, you know who you are. I don't know if he's going to watch Pop Culture for this episode, but I love going there because he randomly always hits me with just these pockets of wisdom that I'm like, ooh, I felt that in my spirit. But he said, hey, you know, no, that's not what he said. But he said, the more you can't live in the past. The more that you cling onto the past, you hold on to it, you're always there, you're always going back to those emotions and what could have beens and all of that, the less that you live in the present. And if you are someone that wants to affect the future and bring good and do something about it, you're not going to do it living in the past, bringing up the past. Because you completely obstruct yourself of the here and now, of the present moment, and therefore have no positive effect on the future, but essentially repeating the cycles of the past that you've already lived. In order to navigate things not going according to your plan, my lovely hummingbirds, you have to get very in tune with the facts of what you see in the here and now. Feel the things that you feel in the here and now. Understand why things had to happen the way that they did, and knowing that if the things that have occurred did not occur, you wouldn't be who you are today. I heard, yes, this traumatized pile of mess. But look at how far you've come. How incredible you are, how amazing, how wonderful, how resilient, which I know. It's like I am the universe's little strongest soldier, but I'm tired. God, I'm tired. Yeah, trust me, I feel you. Trust me, as a little chronic illness baby that gets a new fucking diagnosis seeming like every year. I get it. It's not easy. It's not easy, especially feeling nostalgic or longing for a life you thought you were supposed to have already. For being in a space you feel like you should have reached years ago. What I need you to do, my lovely hummingbirds, this week, yes, I'm giving you homework. I love you. What I need you to do this week is look at where you are. Look at everything you've overcome, everything you've succeeded over, every little win, every little triumph. And if you're like, fuck, look at all the bad shit that happened, yeah, look at it and look at how it made you feel. And how much better you are for no longer being there. And understanding how those moments had a direct impact to how you are meant to impact others. Because we all impact others. Whether we know it or not, we all impact those around us. Random strangers on the street, the collective as a whole, the energy of the world. But more than that, when we refuse to keep navigating forward through our current circumstances because we're so stuck on the things that did not go according to plan, the more we just stay stuck, longing for something that wasn't meant to be until it's meant to be. It's so funny because, like, sometimes I get really annoyed at, like, very cryptic messages. And I'm like, damn, why can't they just say it with their whole fucking chest? And now here I am being cryptic. Careful what you say, my lovely hummingbirds. What does my mom say? She's always like, el que echa la escupida le cae la saliva. It's a saying in Spanish of, like, basically, careful what you say, lest it come back and bite you in the ass, essentially. But I love Yzma's character because she's always readjusting and reformulating her plans, which goes in line with that reframe that I mentioned. Last week's episode, we covered that point of no return, cracking to that point where it's like, damn, I really got to leave that shit there. This is kind of reaffirming that. It's so funny because before I used to be there in a time when I needed to survive. I was there every day. It began as every week, and I was there what seemed like every day. To a point where I probably was there every fucking day. I was like, I am Norm and this is my cheers type of shit. And now it's come to the point where it's like, I go there whenever I'm called to be there. I'm like, why the fuck am I going? And something always happens. Some confirmation that I need from the universe. Some message that I need thrown at me. Something. And when he said that, I literally kind of just sat there and like thought to myself, like, first off, damn, he's right. Secondly, damn, universe, I hear you. Thirdly, oh my god, this is going to be a great topic of conversation for pop culture. But it also reminded me that, like, when it comes to the journey of life, love, and self-healing, we often forget ourselves at present. Your biggest gift to yourself, my lovely hummingbirds, is to be present in the present. To feel your presence as it is in this moment. To be grateful for yourself. To understand that you've made it this far because things did not go according to your plan. I want to say a few weeks back, I was having a conversation of past moments with a dear friend, and I laughed to myself afterwards because I was like, damn, I'm really happy, actually, that a lot of things did not go in line with what I thought I wanted 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12 years ago. That things did not pan out exactly like I had imagined in that moment for that energy, because if they had, oh boy, would I be a very different girl. And in some cases, I wouldn't even be here right now. Yeah, I would not be here. When you are having difficulties understanding that you are exactly where you're supposed to be, my lovely hummingbirds, I need you to really sit with yourself and ask, what brought upon this thought pattern? Was it society? Was it the people around me? Was it learned difficulties and struggles? Was it things that I have adapted to as should have been completed by now? What part of me is feeling lacking in some way, shape, or form? What part of me is feeling misunderstood in some way, shape, or form? Have I checked my seeds recently? And if you're like, what are seeds? It is this: sleep, exercise, movement, eating, doctor's orders, and self-care. Little pat on the back for myself when I actually remember all of them without stumbling, because that means I'm doing all of them. And when I don't, it's like, ooh, I know I forgot to do something. It's okay to be scared. It's okay to sit there and be like, I don't know what the fuck is next. What you do have is you right now in this moment, loving you, taking care of you. Even if you hate yourself a little bit in this moment, that's okay too. But allow yourself to simply be and exist in the here and now. Because the more that you do that, the more comfortable you get in it, the faster, one, you're going to see your blessings pouring in and the universe being like, look at them, being present. For all of those of you that I am channeling for, the universe is not going to overflow you with abundance and prosperity when you're not going to be aware enough to see it and be grateful for it. You can't long for the good while you're focusing on the bad that already has since passed. Focus in the here and now. Be grateful. Keep your vision to the future of all that beautiful shit you've seen for yourself, and keep going. If you're in the middle of feeling stuck and being like, oh my god, know that there is a moment for this pause. And that your highest good is in the making. Okay? Alright, my lovely hummingbirds, that's it for me, for you, for today. I love you all so, so much. I hope you enjoyed today's episode. I'm you about to knock over the phone. I hope it brought you whatever clarity and information you needed. I don't know how makeup and motivation and a grain of salt just looped into each other, but they did. Yes. I hope it provided you with some motivation. I hope you enjoyed the makeup look. That's it for me, for you, for today. Catch us for tomorrow's reading. And it is a love reading. Unfortunately, it is not in Spanish. I am going to do a little announcement as well on the shorts in Spanish for all my Spanish speakers. But that's it for me, for you, for today. I love you all so much. Para mis amados colibrí, before I get into the outro, para mis amados colibríes que por alguna razón están viendo esto y llegaron a la parte en español, la lectura de mañana no está desafortunadamente en español. Voy a hacer un anuncio de eso en los cortos mañana, so quédense pendientes a eso, pero es todo de mí para ustedes por hoy. Los quiero demasiado, se me cuidan y nos vemos a la próxima. My lovely hummingbirds, I love you all so much. I'll catch you on the next one. Les mando mucha paz, muchos besos, y les recuerdo que miren hacia la luna. Sending you much peace, many kisses, reminding you to always look up the moon. I love you all so much, and I'll catch you on the next one. Like, share, subscribe, all of it. I really appreciate it. It helps me. Bye!